In this video, I talk about one of the most brilliant updates Jagex thought of over the past years. Hey guys, it's Divine from merch.com. Yesterday at RuneFest, Jagex announced a project that will be released this November. It's called Bank Bidders, and it allows you to bid on the banks of old anonymous accounts that got banned, in an attempt to win whatever they owned. Here's the short clip that was shown at RuneFest about it.
Okay, a small update, but I'm really excited about it. I'd like to introduce you to Bank Bidders. This is the ability for all of you to bid on the bank accounts of banned previous characters. All right, so don't worry if you've got kind of dormant accounts or accounts you've been left over, that's fine, don't worry, they're safe. These are older bank accounts. We're only going to tell you a little bit about these accounts. We're going to tell you maybe the age, the accounts, what they like to do, maybe their skill levels. And then we start getting you, we're still talking about it. Maybe there's a kind of a raffle system, maybe it's a bidding system, but ultimately, one of you will win that account and whatever is in it. We're also talking about a kind of high roller version, but even riskier accounts up, and then we live stream that, for example. But this is for all of you. So, we know that this character, is 12 years old, banned for macroing woodcutting. Start bidding on that. So it could be, what could it be? Oh my. I've done quite well there. I'm quite happy with that. I've got myself a mask. Got myself some lucrative drops. Or maybe it could have been that. All right, so I'm sure you've got an idea of which one you prefer.
People went crazy over this announcement, and I've had a lot of questions from people asking what will happen next. Definitely great video material, so let's get into it. As for the update itself, not much is set in stone here, and Jagex mentioned that instead of an auction, it could well be a raffle. I'd say gold sync-wise, auctioning is a smarter idea, as people would likely spend more money, but this is not the main point of the impact on the economy. The main point is that an unknown amount of discontinued items are stuck on banned accounts for a very long time now. By doing these auctions, Jagex would reintroduce these items into the game, along with whatever else is in their banks. Now, over the past 24 hours, I've waited to make this video, as I've seen a lot of counter-arguments as to why it's a bad idea to make this update, why it won't have much of an impact on rares, or why the update probably won't even happen to begin with. Now, I couldn't find a single decent argument to debunk my point of view on the update, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant here. To me, it simply seems like the people speaking up against the update are mostly rare holders that are being negatively impacted by it. And I get it, people are generally rarely objective when it comes to merchanting discussions. I always try to do that in my videos, even though it'll be pretty clear what side I'm on this one. Feel free to prove anything I'll say in a video wrong in the comments, as I'm open to learning from you guys too, and I can be wrong as well. So first off, I've seen a lot of people say that this update won't reintroduce many discontinued items because if someone who owned them got banned, they would be put in the Grand Exchange. Now if you paid attention to Jagex's video, you'd see that they are using a 12-year-old account as an example here, and before 2007, there wasn't even a Grand Exchange to begin with. So all of the accounts that were banned before that are definitely still holding their discontinued items today. They also literally mentioned this update is not about recently banned accounts, but focused on older ones. Additionally, the loot in the video even included discontinued items. That's not a coincidence, it's a clear message on what this update is geared towards. They're not going to set false expectations right on the main stage of their main event, and then decide to exclude those items right after announcing that. Now let's say you're right though, and no or very few discontinued items will be reintroduced through the auctions. In the best case, people will buy back their discontinued items, realizing there is little to fear, and prices may rise 10% or something. Is that worth holding on to, knowing that if you're wrong you could be down far more than that? It's a simple risk versus reward equation, and it doesn't add up in my eyes. So if we can agree that rares will actually be reintroduced, there's still the question of how many. And this depends entirely on how Jagex implements the update. My expectation is that they will exclude accounts that were banned for duplicating stuff, like the purple party hat dupe, or this would definitely destroy the economy. I don't know if anyone remember those millions of archer rings, for example. We just can't have those kind of things in a game, that would be too much. But other than that, anyone who got banned for a legitimate reason should pretty much be included. it's pretty safe to assume that they won't reintroduce all the accounts in one go, as it would be far too much if they released everything at once. They even mentioned at RuneFest itself that they might separate the best accounts from the newbier ones and then make a live stream around it. And they also didn't release all of the accounts at once when they released the usernames, for example. Now, for years, I've seen people claim that they know how many of a certain discontinued item there is in the game. But if we look at old banned accounts, the truth is that nobody has the slightest clue of how much is out there. If you played in the early years, you'll remember that almost everyone was wearing these items, but we have no idea of how many people got banned in general. There will likely be far more discontinued items on inactive accounts that won't be auctioned off here, but that still tells us nothing about the amount of banned accounts. Now, the arguments I've seen against Jagex reintroducing a bunch of discontinued items this way is that this update will destroy the economy and make rich merchants quit. I think this is extremely overblown. The economy worked fine when party hats were worth half their current prices or even 10% of this. Yes, the game needs valuable and expensive items for people to work towards, but a bunch of discontinued items slowly getting reintroduced is a one-time process that they will eventually recover from. Rich merchants are generally smart enough, at least I hope so, to understand that these items are still discontinued, and this is a one-time setback. Also, in the case that discontinued items lose a large amount of their value, other unaffected items would become more valuable in turn. Think of all of the new rare items that were reintroduced over the past few years that will be pretty much unaffected by this update. Basically, this starts at fish masks, the season stuff, the newer Christmas rares, and all of the other things I can't think of right now because it's just too much. Now, the auction accounts won't hold many, if any of these, as they're too new, and thus there are suddenly more interesting items for merchants to invest in, especially the ones that already have a decent value, considering pretty much every other item will increase in volume. Now sure, the auctions will make a bunch of rich merchants quit that refuse to adapt, just like the Second Chance Tuesday that reintroduced those gem rares made some people quit. It happens, but in their place other merchants always step up. A handful of players quitting here won't make a dent compared to the amount of people that quit over each treasure hunter promotion. I've seen some comparisons to governments not pissing off banks and Wall Street, so Jagex won't do this to the richest merchants. But this just makes me think that some merchants have it a bit high up in their head in terms of their importance in the game. And then there's the people saying Jagex won't do this because it will crash the entire game economy. Now the bulk of the items re-entering the game won't be discontinued items of course, but regular items that were on the accounts of millions of bots. This would crash the economy if Jagex released all of the accounts in a very short period of time, which I consider extremely unlikely given what they already said about it. Additionally, we don't know if they will include level 3 spammer bots, which would be the vast majority of the accounts, and that would make the items enter the game much slower, as for every account holding some kind of botting stock, there would be maybe 1,000 others that were spammer bots, making the whole process much slower. We don't even know if they will include bots at all, and we don't know how often gold farmers took all of the items off the bots. In short, we don't have any idea how much we're talking about here, so it's kind of useless to speculate and say this is going to destroy the economy, when we don't know over what kind of time period this is spread out and how much volume there is. Now, you guys know I don't say this often, but I'm deeply impressed by this update. I think it's one of the smartest things they've ever done, and I doubt I'd ever have thought of it myself. Jagex obviously noticed the continuous cycle of discontinued items rising, as I spoke about it in one of my videos a few months back. Like I said then, I didn't foresee them doing anything that would change the situation, but they just did, and I think it's really impressive. While this update doesn't break the cycle, but delays it and sets people back, it does allow everyone to reposition, and it gives newer or less wealthy merchants a chance to get in on the discontinued items fun. Long term, this is healthy for the economy. In the short term, it may hurt. No matter what the outcome though, this will definitely stimulate flipping and open up opportunities for smart merchants to do some great long-term investments. Prices always sort themselves out in the long run, so I'd say don't worry too much, but try to make some smart decisions. Thanks for watching. As mentioned before, feel free to prove me wrong on any of the points above. I'll see you all again soon for another video. Exciting times guys, exciting times.